Welcome to this week's episode of the CC Mouse Podcast. We are good for your ears. I am Dan, and you can find me shopping our merch at ccmousepodcast.shop.
I have to laugh because as soon as you started talking, I just wanted to hear you go, I'm Dan, and I'm sick.
No, I was trying to hide that. I was hoping that people...
I don't think you're going to hide it. It's pretty clear.
I was hoping people wouldn't catch that. And I blame you. I feel like I got it through the airwaves somehow, or the internet's from last episode.
I was going to say, I'm not going to be in California till this weekend. This is not my fault.
Yeah. And no, I am not drinking hot toddies. That's for you.
That's why you're sick.
I have shock tops. So that's
why you don't feel good.
Better.
See, when we podcasted last time and I was sick, I had a hot toddy and it made me feel better. So just saying.
Maybe in the future, but not now.
So by the time this podcast goes up, we will most likely be in Montana at Glacier National Park.
Ooh, why there?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we stopped a couple places on our trip. For those of you that maybe knew, Jamie, my husband, and I are driving to California for PetCon, and then on the way home, we're going straight north and driving across the top part of the United States. We wanted to see some things instead of just driving to California and driving home, which would be insane. So a couple of the places we wanted to go, like we're going to go to see the redwoods in Northern California, and then I want to go to Mount Rainier in Washington. And the plan was after Mount Rainier in Washington to just stop a few places on the way home. But then I was talking to my mom and she's like, you got to go to Glacier National Park. The downsides to national parks are most national parks don't allow pets many places, and we're traveling with 3 dogs, so a lot of the places are like the dogs are allowed in parking lots, on paved roads, in paved areas, on paved paths, but anything other than that you really can't take them, which it's a stupid law that they passed in the 1940s, and I think it's so antique that they really need to consider changing it, but what do I know? People do more damage than my dogs will.
Yeah, that's true. That seems not fair.
But anyway, yeah, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, you got to go to Glacier National Park. They say it's the prettiest national park in the United States, and you're going to be right there, and you might as well go. And I kind of was looking at the dates, and I'm like, well, we could extend another day and go see it. So then I'm like, well, I'll just get online and look at some pictures. Yeah, then I got online and looked at pictures, and I'm like, we're going to Glacier National Park.
How nice could a park be? I mean, I watched...
It's gorgeous. You have to remember... We don't live in the mountains.
Neither do I.
But you live near mountains.
I guess so. Wait, hold on. I take it back. I live in a valley, so I'm surrounded by mountains, technically, if I live in a valley. So,
yeah?
Yes, all the mountains.
See, we don't have mountains. So, I don't know. I always think mountains are really pretty. In Glacier National Park with the snow on the top of the mountains, I just thought it would be a really good opportunity to... Like I said, we're not going to be able to do any of the hikes. We're not going to be able to go see some of the really cool stuff there. But to be able to drive in, I looked at some of the roads in the drive-in and just how pretty and scenic it is. And by now, Jamie and I like to just drive anyway. So
yes.
we're gonna, and it's Montana. When Jamie and I drove across country when we were in our 20s, when we lived in Arizona, we used to come home every summer. And we would always take a different route, and we didn't have a lot of money, so we never really got to see a lot of things, but we'd always take scenic routes at least so that we would always stay at these dive motels that were $35 a night.
Mm-hmm. I remember when they were $35 a night.
Right? But one of the places we didn't get to go, we went to Yellowstone National Park, but there was fires, so we had to exit the park a different way, and we had intended to go into Montana and into Washington and down through Oregon and then come back and around down into Arizona. It was going to be this really long trip, but they forced us to come down, and this was before we had a GPS and cell phones and all these things, so once we didn't know which way we were going anymore, we kind of just headed back to Arizona. So I've always wanted to visit different places in Montana, and I've always wanted to visit different places in Washington. So we figured, you know what? We're all the way over there. We might as well do it.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yes. When you're gone, are you going to be vlogging and uploading and editing, or how's that going to work?
So I think I have 4 full days of vlogs. I'm 4 full days ahead. Mm. So that'll give me time to kind of keep updated with it while we're gone. The plan is I should be able to use my computer in the car. We have a plug, so I should be able to use it in the car without an issue. Yeah, so I have almost all of the videos done for the dogs channel that I'll have uploaded like before we leave. So the dogs videos will all go up, and then we'll be uploading vlogs while we're on the trip, but they're going to be delayed.
Gotcha.
Which kind of sucks. It would be really cool if it was like we were there and then the next day that video went up. But the problem is, because we're going to be relying on like crappy hotel internet, I want it to get ahead so that if we're at a hotel and the internet's just really bad, or we have a bad connection and I can't get a video uploaded, I'm not missing a day.
Yes.
So it's like a vacation, but I still have to work a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You want to kind of get ahead of it all so you can at least try to enjoy it.
Yeah, and it'll still be enjoyable, but there'll be a lot of filming and taking photos, and we want to do a lot of stuff for I want to try to make sure that we're doing a lot of Instagram stories. So like the Instagram stories on Snow Dogs Vlogs and Gone to the Snow Dogs will be more, of course, because they're stories, more real time of where we're going to be. So that'll be kind of fun, and I just want to remember to do those things. But at the same time, I don't want to stress about it.
Yeah, that's what I like about the stories. You get to see like sneak peeks, and then you get to watch the full episode later.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm really bad at doing stories when we're not doing a lot, like when the dogs are just being themselves. I don't think to just pick up the camera and do a story on the Gone to the Snow Dogs Instagram. On the Snow Dogs vlogs one, I do a little bit more, but I really want to get better at that, get better at capturing some of those more behind the scenes moments, like something that isn't necessarily going to be in the vlog, but is like leading up to something in the vlog or something like that.
I'm really good at the stories.
Yeah, you're way better at them than I am, but you also don't upload like 8 videos a week.
Right. I'll remind you to keep up on the stories because I want to see what's going on as well.
Good. Do that. Message me and be like, hey, where are you?
So as you guys know, you can go to speakpipe.com/ccmousePodcast and leave us a voice question that we will play on the air. And Jess, we have another question this week. That's two in a row.
Yay!
This one comes from Elizabeth Allen, and I have not listened to any of this yet. So let's see what the voicemail has to say.
What is the most challenging thing about creating content on your podcast?
What is the most challenging thing about creating content on your podcast?
Oh, wow.
I mean, if we're just talking podcast, the most challenging thing is just trying to keep the conversation going. It's like playing ping pong. And when you start playing ping pong, I suck at ping pong. You just are stoked just to be able to get that ball. What do you call it, a ping pong ball? Yeah, ping pong ball. You're just stoked to hit that ball back over. And that's how I think is the most challenging thing here, is just trying to keep the conversation going. You guys might think that we just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, but there's times where there's gaps or weird ums, or I'll cough or choke or want to start over or rephrase something. And you have that luxury. It sounds great at the end, but we're still, just trying to keep the conversation flow going. Even though if you and I talk on like when we talk on the phone, you have no problem doing that all the time. Like the conversation just goes and goes and goes. When there's a mic in front of your face, I feel like it feels like a little bit more challenging and more relaxed as the episodes go on, just to hit that ball back over.
Yeah, I think like you said, one of the biggest things is making sure we have a couple ideas of topics beforehand is kind of challenging, because we want to keep everything flowing, and then kind of just going into the next topic and then into the next topic without really having to stop and rethink about what we're talking about. I mean, and sometimes you kind of have to, because sometimes the topics are just so different, but they're things we really want to talk about. There's no real easy way to transition into them.
Yes.
So I think kind of figuring out that flow. And yeah, like you said, a phone conversation is totally different than this, because, a phone conversation, you're just talking. This, we're just talking, but it's more structured. Like we have an idea, we have a goal in mind, we have, we know what we want to do. If we accomplish it, well, who knows, but.
Right. Yeah. We throw about 80% of the show away every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand clapping for Dan for editing these every week, because I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I do edit it. It's okay. I fly through it. Every now and then I make a mistake or two, but I do a pretty good job of making the conversation keep flowing, or if a sentence doesn't make sense, you have the luxury of going back and deleting it. But, there's times where, your mom will just call and the phone will ring and we just stop the podcast. Yeah. But you guys don't get to see that. You guys just get to see the perfect end stuff. So trying just to juggle that and, not trying to pull back the curtain on Oz is the challenging part, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, like I said, and then even after you edit it, then I have to listen to it and do the notes. And if I catch something that you may have missed, which I think that's only happened like once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's only happened really once or twice where it's been like, hey, you left this sentence in where we clearly restarted.
Yes. But I will say, I thought that editing audio podcasts was going to be so much easier than editing video podcasts, and it is twice as hard. Twice as hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's because you also don't have the cues like you do with video. When it's video, you can watch for things. But with audio, you have to listen. You literally have to sit there and listen to every word that's being said. And like like you said, if there's just too much of a space, okay, now I got to stop what I'm doing and edit out this space and make it go together, and then listen to it again and make sure that it flows well.
Yes. I will say the one thing that we haven't had to do is censor ourselves. Like I have not really gone back and taken anything out that was like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have said that. Like everything's stayed in there.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good with that. I mean, I don't think we talk about too much stuff that's offensive.
No, my goal is to make it live one day every time, like live on video. Like everybody can come to the chat room and see it, and we'll be dialed in by then. This is kind of like our warm up until we can really get comfortable with going a full hour of talking without it being awkward. So you guys don't have to watch that at home, and then we'll do a live, and then you guys can see all the mess ups because they're charming.
All the restarts where we're like, wait, what did we say? Wait, where are we going? Wait, what? Oh crap! Or the dog's barking, or the furnace kicks on, or the
yes, or the cops are going by because I live in the ghetto.
The cat walking over your keyboard.
but the fun parts are like listening to your guys' feedback, seeing you guys be happy about something. I'm like, why did we talk about that? And then people are stoked about it. That's the fun part. And then we get to hang out for a while every week.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where when we're doing this, we're literally looking at topics going, should we talk about this? Is anybody going to care? And then we do. And it's so great when you guys are so excited about stuff that we didn't really know if anybody would care about.
Yes.
Because we don't always talk about like trending topics and what's hot in the world today. I mean, we do sometimes, but not like a lot of podcasts do. So I feel like we kind of have our own style. It's just us talking about what we want to talk about. That's about it.
You always have some wacky story from your town. Like you're always sending me links to weird stuff happening in your town.
Yeah, you should see what's happening right now.
More stuff. Well, the last one was the crazy guy, and now what?
So the lakes are too full.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be called Tales from Alpena. Tales from Alpena.
So I haven't gone and gotten photos yet, but I probably should today. Downtown by the 2nd Avenue Bridge, so we have a bunch of dams on the Thunder Bay River, and they all, they provide us power and stuff like that, and the river goes out into Lake Huron, which is one of the big lakes, one of the Great Lakes. And we've had a massive amount of snow, and then we've had a massive amount of rain. We don't really get flooding. Like, it's not like Mississippi River flooding. Ohio gets a lot of flooding. We don't normally get that. We're able to kind of control that more, I guess. And also the way our rivers work and our lakes work, it just goes out into the lakes, and then the lake levels rise, and usually that's okay. But I have never in my life seen the water as high as it is right now. And they've already said that, I think Lake Superior is up like 13 inches. But anyway, if you go downtown and you look at the 2nd Avenue Bridge, there's the 9th Street Dam, which is wide open right now. And I don't know what they're going to do if they keep leaving it open. It's flooding all of the stuff downtown where the river goes through. So there's like all these docks and stuff. I don't know if they call them docks. I guess they're docks. Yeah, like where the big ships come in and like drop off salt and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
The water is like inches from coming over all of that. And then there's a building that sits right next to the bridge that actually has what used to be a restaurant downstairs. Mm-hmm. And somebody posted a picture on Facebook yesterday. There's water going into that building.
Yeah, that's
like, so the restaurant platform, there's water going into that building.
Huh. You guys need like a big sky straw or something to like suck some of that water out. What do you do with it? Can you how do you make it go away?
Well, normally what you do is you open the dams, and the dams let the river water flow out into the big lake, and then the big lake is usually empty enough that it needs the water. So that's pretty much what happens. But that's not working. And my parents live on Thunder Bay River. They live 3 dams back from the big lake. So you'd have to pass through 3 dams. Like if you went out at my parents' house, you wouldn't actually be able to take a boat from my parents' house out to the big lake.
Right.
And this morning, you guys don't know this, but we're recording this on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Thank you.
This morning, my mom made a post on Facebook. Let me read it to you word for word.
Okay. While you're doing that, thank you for the question, Elizabeth. And you guys can leave us a question on SpeakPipe by going to speakpipe.com/ccmousepodcast. Still waiting for your question, Zach. There's no spam folder on here, dude. So you have to figure out how to send it again. That's
so funny.
Just send it to my phone. You have my number.
There you go. Yeah, so let me preface this for you a little bit. As I said, they live on a river. They have a pontoon boat that sits out on a boat hoist next to their dock. My mom and dad do a lot of fishing. The boat actually belonged to my grandpa. Like when I was a little kid, my grandparents had a cottage on the lake that my aunt actually has a cottage on Long Lake. And as a little kid, I went out on this boat countless times. So anyway, it's the same boat, still in the family. Mm-hmm. The decking and stuff has been repaired on it, but whatever. So the boat is still there, still working. It's grandpa's boat. So this is what my mom posted on Facebook this morning. This was the first thing I read when I woke up this morning and opened Facebook. My mom wrote, "Well, my dad was with us this morning," meaning my grandpa. "I looked out the window and saw Dad's boat floating down the river. The water is so high that it floated off of the boat hoist. John had to take the time to get the kayak and the vest on while the boat just sat there like my dad was driving it. Happy Father's Day."
Oh, that's creepy and cool and weird, and that's everything at the same time. What were you thinking when you read that?
The first thing I thought was, I'm really glad we didn't go pick up the kayak yet, because that's our kayak. That's
right.
House.
And this is not at the farm.
No, this is not at the farm.
Okay.
This is at my mom and dad's house. There is no house at the farm.
Okay, there is no house at the farm. Okay, I was trying to get a visual, but because I was at the farm, but I was not at their house.
Yeah, no, you didn't go to their house. No, their house is on the river. So, and their house is at a part of the river where it starts to get really wide, and it actually turns into what they call Lake Winya before it turns back into a river. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a flooded area where they put up the dam. The dam built a lake, and there's like trees and everything that are under the water. Well, not trees, but the stumps that are under the water from where they flooded this area when they put the dam in. So it's like floodwaters. Right. But yeah, so the hoist was all the way up. You can only put them up so high. The hoist was all the way up, and when they woke up this morning, my mom looked out the window, and there was the boat floating in the middle of the lake. And I could just imagine my mom telling my dad, "Boat's loose." Like,
the boat's loose. What do you get? You don't have like a boat lasso. Like, how do you bring the boat
right?
back? You gotta get that kayak.
Yeah, and the kayak that is out there is Jamie and I's kayak, and it's a 2-person kayak. It's very hard to actually use with just one person.
Right.
So my dad had to not only get the kayak and get the vest on so that he didn't drown out there. So he had to get the kayak, get a rope, get it in the water, try to get out there, and it's windy today. So I don't know how much you know about being on the water in the kayak in the wind. It's not fun because you have no motor. So you're trying to get the kayak out there. I can like picture my dad trying to get this stupid kayak out to the boat.
That's crazy. No, they have like beachfront property now. It's just you're gonna be able just to go there, like it's Italy, and they'll just have like the streets flooded with water and.
Right.
Oh man, I'm so bad. Growing up, I always wished for the disaster of a town flooding, just because I always thought it was cool on television when I was younger. You know how I say when I was younger, but no, I secretly think it's kind of cool when the streets are all flooded and people are in boats outside their house, only because like you would never think that. I would think it was a big swimming pool. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm going to swim over to my buddy's house. But
right. It's not like you think the disaster is cool. You think the idea of being able to go out there and, like you said, being in a canoe or a kayak and paddling down the street, which it is. I mean, people have done that here before. Yeah. There are areas back over by the golf course where the roads flood enough to kayak down them.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I also think it's crazy that you guys can ice skate up your street. That's another thing that I think is cool. But yeah, I always just like envious of the news reporter lady who's sitting in the boat driving through in the neighborhood in a boat. I'm like, wow, that looks so fun. This is bad to say. I don't mean the tragedy part of it. I just mean like turning your streets into a swimming pool. I always thought that was kind of cool.
Right? If nobody gets hurt, everybody else is okay. I'd like to take a boat down a street one day.
Yeah, I'm a little envious of going to rescue the boat with the kayak. Like, that sounds kind of fun. Like, you don't have to ask me twice.
Right? It was just funny the way my mom wrote it because it's Father's Day and it was my grandpa's boat. And she's like, it just looked like Grandpa was driving it.
She made it into like a ghost story.
Yeah, and then I messaged her this morning after I read that, and I'm like, that's crazy. And she's like, yeah, it was just out there floating away. And then I went and told Jamie, and he's like, oh man, it could have, if you think about it, again, there's a dam right up the river from them. If nobody would have saw it, or if it would have happened right when they went to bed and the river decided to take it down to the dam, then what? Would it have like got stuck at the dam? Like, that's just crazy.
Are you guys in danger of this?
No, not really. Even if the dams gave way, which they won't, the dams all have spillovers, so it's really not a big deal. Where the water flows here, it would have to be a lot of water and a lot of issue before anything really would like where we live, where our house is, we're fine. We're far enough away from the water. But like the deli downtown, it's only 2 blocks away from the big lake. But it's not usually the big lake that floods. It's normally the river that floods. And the river isn't really flooding that much. I'll have to go down there and take pictures today. It's high. I've never seen it this high. I mean, it's crazy. We have beach volleyball down at Starlight Beach. Mm-hmm. They set up all this beach volleyball stuff. And the other day when Jamie and I took the dogs down to the beach, they had to sandbag one whole side of the volleyball nets because the lake is so high, it's washing all the sand away. So they had to actually sandbag so they don't lose all of the beach volleyball stuff that they had.
How do you have beach volleyball without beach sand? Where do you get that at?
Sand. There's sand down there. Starlight and Mishikiwa's Beach are both sandy beaches. We have sandy beaches. We have a combination of sandy beaches and rocky beaches.
Oh, okay. So you do have sand.
Yeah, not all the beaches are rock. It's usually a combination. Like Bell Bay is all sand. If you go up to like Rogers City, it's all sand on Lake Huron right there. But then there's other places where like Muskalounge Lake up on Lake Superior where we go, that's all rock. But there's even sections up there where it's all sand.
Oh, okay. I figured it was all rock.
Nope, not all of it.
Well, you better take the kayak over to the deli so you guys can get your DoorDashes there on time soon.
Right. Yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know how many inches Lake Huron is actually up, but I know that Lake Superior is really high as well. And then what was it? It was last year was when they had the big flooding up in Houghton Hancock up in the UP, when they had the first time in history that the city flooded and it washed out all those roads and stuff. Yeah. That was last year.
See, you have all the cool stories. And when you send me links to these stories, I feel like your town's so small that it's not like our newspaper, it would just be a blurb. Your newspaper, all the stories, like, flesh it out like an A&E biography. You get so much detail in your guys' like stories that you send me over the stories that I see. Alpena man arrested for giving troopers the bird. You'd think that would be a paragraph, but no, it's like 3 pages and 2 ads worth. There's this other story here about this Northern Lights Arena hockey team, and like you have all this stuff going on in your time. I'm so envious of you getting a hockey team. You don't need a hockey team. I need a hockey team.
You don't understand. We live in Michigan, which is the home of Hockey Town.
That is true.
Hockey is huge in Michigan. And I mean, people like our high school hockey teams, high school hockey plays at Northern Lights Arena as well. They sell out of high school hockey games.
Yes.
Even when the team sucks, because everybody wants to go watch hockey. Which our team didn't suck this year. Our high school team actually did really, really well this year.
That's cool. If there was live hockey to go see out here, I'd be there in a flash. We have a minor league baseball team here, and it draws a lot of people, and it's really neat. But I don't like baseball, so I always wish for it. Like if I had that little monkey paw thing and I had 3 wishes, I might use one to bring a hockey team to my town just so I can see hockey all the time.
We used to go watch the Ice Diggers regularly. When the Ice Diggers were here, we had friends of ours, and it was every home game. We were there. I had a cowbell. I mean, it was cool. We had a lot of fun doing it. And then when they were gone, it was kind of like, oh, well, what do we do now? You know, we don't have a hockey team to watch anymore. And then apparently now we're getting a new one. They are looking for a coach, though. I saw on their Facebook page the other day, like they made this big, huge announcement that the team's coming and there's going to be at least 16 home games and it's blah, 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 blah. What is it? The IHL League, whatever it is. And now they posted on their Facebook page that they've had a hiccup and now they need a coach.
You should apply. You should apply to be their coach. Have you seen all the Mighty Duck movies?
Yes.
Oh, then you're qualified. You are so qualified. Who wants to see Jess be the coach of a... It's a Disney movie. There you go. She has dogs and knows nothing about hockey. Together. Yeah.
Speaking of hockey, I got on Twitter this morning, and the first thing, I don't know if you saw it, I shared it. The very first thing on Twitter this morning was it was 1998 today, so June 16th, 1998 was when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
For the second year in a row.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that cursing the screen.
That was after Vladimir Konstantinov was in that car, that horrible limo accident.
Yeah, because they got in that limousine accident after they won the cup. On that night they won the cup, they went out to party, and that limousine crashed. Yeah, and they were all paralyzed and in wheelchairs, and it was sad. They were really good players.
It was really sad.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that was 97, and then in 98 they won it again, and I think that was kind of, not that it was the driving force, but I felt like it was such a huge driving force for that. Like they had that, like, just that insatiable desire to win.
Yes.
Just for those guys. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's, everybody else was the same way. Like, I don't know, just felt different.
It was hard. It was hard because Konstantinov came back on the ice in his wheelchair, like paralyzed from like pretty much the neck down.
Yeah, he can move his arms now.
Yeah, that was how we went down that road.
Yeah. We were talking about hockey. And then
hockey, guys. Hockey. Let's bring it back around to hockey. So minor league hockey coming to your town. See, like, so when I'm scrolling through this list here, you have all the good stuff that happens in your town. Some dude ran out into the street and saved a kid from getting run over by a truck. That was in your town. Yeah. I saw that footage. That was a couple.
Yeah, and that went viral.
Did it?
Yeah, that went viral. The video went viral. It got shared all over the place, and that was one of our state police troopers. The kid got away from his mom, her mom, I don't know if it was boy or girl, but and was going out onto the highway, US 23, and there was a dump truck coming right for the kid, and the officer was just in the right place at the right time, saw the kid, got out of his car, ran out there, grabbed the kid as the dump truck was like putting on air brakes and slowing down, and it was nuts.
Yeah,
it was
that
crazy.
Was pretty crazy. That was crazy footage.
It was crazy. You know, do you remember years ago, this is going back to hockey again, the viral video of the hockey player that like was walking back into the locker room and clotheslined himself on a hockey stick?
He was skating, but he wasn't walking. But yes, and the stick went sideways, and we've all been there. If you're a hockey player, you know we've been there.
Do you know where that happened?
Let me get one guess. That happened in Alpena at your old minor league team.
Yeah.
Did it really? Were you there that night?
Yeah, no, we weren't there that night, but yeah, that happened here in Alpena.
Oh yeah, that's a great video. He just clotheslines himself with his own hockey stick, trying to get off the ice. He reminds me of one of those dogs that just can't take the stick through the door.
Yeah, I'll have to find that video and link it on Podbean. So if you guys want to see some of the stuff we're talking about, I'll try to post, like, I say that, but I'll be traveling. So, Dan, if I don't do this, it's going to be all on you.
And I'm a crapshoot, right? You know me, 50-50. It could be a home run, or it could be Dan who. You never know.
So hopefully there'll be some links and pictures.
I'll find a GIF.
If not, I'll do it when I get home.
The GIFs are always great. I'll just find a GIF.
Yeah, there you go. So speaking about like rivers and flooding and things like that, have you ever gone tubing down a river?
I have. Once in my life I went tubing down the river, and I didn't really like understand tubing. So I got in the tube, I went out in the river, I tied a few beers to my tube, and I tried to like hang out with everybody a little bit, but next thing you know, you're like down the river from camp. You're still hanging with your buddies, but where you started from is way far away. And here's the kicker. When you get out, You have to walk back.
Oh, you did it wrong.
That's the hard part. Like, you have to walk back upstream. So yeah, I've done it once in my life. I haven't done it in the last like 15 years, but yeah, tubing was okay.
So I've done it a handful of times, mostly when I was younger, because I get sunburn really easy. So for me, floating slowly down a river is just not a good idea. That's why we got the kayaks. At least with the kayaks, you can, go faster if you want to, or get underneath some. You have more control in a kayak. That was why we got kayaks, because I do like the idea of it. I'm still not a huge fan of like deep water and stuff like that, but rivers aren't bad. And yet, normally when you go tubing, you're supposed to take a car and drive somebody to where you get out at and leave that car there, and then drive back and get in, so that when you get there, everybody can load up in the car, go back and get your car, so you don't have to walk.
Okay.
But I did notice as you were talking about that, you said something that I was really hoping you would say.
What's that?
You tied a bunch of beers to your tube.
Yeah. Somebody taught me
A
how
lot
to
of
do
people
that.
have a little like floating coolers and little like they all have cup holders, or you can get these tubes that fit like 5 people in a cup holder. It's a big thing. People get on a tube, they get in the river, they drink, they float down the river, they have a good time.
Yeah, I had the traditional black tube. The one that looked like it was an inner tube for like a monster truck.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna ask, what'd you do with your empty beer bottles?
Oh, I just held on to them until we got to the end, because it wasn't too, and then because it was only a day's worth. So I would go out there, I'd float down to the end, and then I would just take my stuff off there, and then I'd truck my way all slopping wet, all the way back up there, make a drop off, a pickup if I needed to, and stuff like that. But just always like, I'm kind of sitting in there, so they just kind of lay on my stomach. It was cans.
So you drank responsibly, and you did the thing where you properly disposed of your trash, and you didn't just throw it in the river.
Oh yeah, no, that's all. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
So I have a friend of mine who lives by the Asable River, which isn't too far from our house. It's a huge, long river, and a lot of people go tubing on it because it's not a super slow river. It's got a good speed to it. You can get on it. There's a lot of good spots to get on and off the river. But it's a big party river. Like on the weekends, if you go down anywhere where you can get in and out of the Asable River, there's people everywhere. Everybody's tubing. The problem that they've been having is a lot of these people will come, bring all their stuff, and then when they leave it all behind. I have a friend of mine that lives down there, and he is a scuba diver.
Mm-hmm.
He will actually put his scuba gear on and go into the river after he gets off of work, and he's pulled up so much garbage, so many bottles, it's unreal. Cell phones, keys, sunglasses, and trash.
I imagine diapers.
Oh, yeah, lots of garbage. And this is like some of the stuff that has been on this riverbed bottom. He said he doesn't even have to go far. He'll go in where people go in, and he can dive right there for an hour and pull stuff up. And then a week later, he can go in again, and he's still pulling stuff up from the sand down there. And, some of it floats downriver. So anyway, last year, the national forest groups and things here in Michigan decided that they wanted to ban alcohol on all Michigan rivers.
Yeah, I figured it was already.
No, you can drink on the river in a tube. You can't drink on a boat and be driving it. That's the same thing. You're not supposed to be drinking and driving a boat. But apparently, because a tube doesn't have a motor, it's perfectly legal to drink and get on a tube and float down the river.
Huh, that's kind of weird. So you can be drunk and floating beacons in the river, but you have to be the sober one to chicane around them in your boat.
Yeah.
I guess that's a yin yang thing. So okay, I get it. I just figured all alcohol was illegal at the river, but I just didn't care.
Apparently, you can drink publicly. Most of our beaches don't allow you to have alcoholic beverages at the beaches. Even a lot of our state campgrounds, you're not supposed to have open containers at the campgrounds. You can have them in your camper, but you're not supposed to have them outside, which I always thought was interesting. But they actually did enact this ban last year, and it was February, I think, of last year. So before the season even started, they enacted this ban, and there was a huge pushback. All of these people just, Ascota's going to lose money, and all these places with these rivers are going to lose money because nobody's going to go there anymore. Because if you've ever been to Ascota, Michigan, there's not a whole lot there. But you get a lot of people that come there to get on that river, and they stay at the hotels, and they rent cabins, and they camp there, and they spend their money in this little town. So, I get it. if you're not going to let them drink on the river, most people don't know how to have fun without drinking,
Right.
which is just crazy to me, but it is what it is, and like, that's, what do you do in that situation? So they enacted this ban, and it lasted for 2 weeks. It had such a pushback from people that they were like, okay, we changed our mind. We get it. You guys want to drink and go down the river. So they retracted the ban.
Uh-huh.
So now they have an alternative to the ban.
Let me guess. They installed a beer bong station where you could float on your raft underneath this nozzle. You'll pick your thing kind of like a Sonic burger, and then the beer will shoot down the chute into your mouth, in through your stomach, making you happy, and then off you go. No trash.
That would be interesting. But no. It's a public outreach campaign promoting the idea that it's all yours. Yours to enjoy, yours to share, and yours to sustain.
Okay.
So that's what they want to put all over down the river down there. Instead of, don't be a jerk, pick up your trash.
Yeah, it's basically, dude, come on. They should have the little hologram LCD screen things, and you can nail them to the tree because that's wilderness. But yeah, no. So they want to put up signs, right? That just
They
say.
want to put up signs. Because, it's not common sense that you should, one, drink responsibly, two, properly dispose of your trash. Leave no trace is a huge thing. I mean, we go jeeping and hiking and stuff, so leave no trace is like a huge thing that we abide by. And then respecting, of course, the private property of other people as you're going down the river. Not every edge of the river is a park. You can't just go up on other people's property. Like, that's all common sense, right? Like, or am I just...
No, you're correct in saying that. Out here, you're just not allowed to drink on anything. You can't go to the beach with alcohol. You're gonna get in trouble because they made it illegal, which is good because we see trash and stuff, but I don't see too much alcohol bottles. Some, but not much. But because it's illegal, we all hide it well when we're down there, and I take my stuff with me because I'm not trying to get busted out, so nobody would even know that I'm doing it in the first place. And I think that's the mentality kind of down there. There's still lots of trash and tar on the beach, but there's not that many Coors Light and Bud Light bottles floating around because you're not allowed to do that, and we sneak the trash out with us.
And realistically, yeah, you're still not supposed to be doing it, but you're doing what they intended. You're not leaving garbage behind, and that's what they intended.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're going to spend all this money and put all these signs up, and I don't know that it's going to change anything. Maybe for a year, enough people will be like, man, they almost didn't let us drink on the river anymore. Maybe we should change what we think. But then they get drunk and they forget, and they're just going to drop their bottles in the river.
Yeah, and pretty soon those signs are going to end up in the river as well.
Yep, that was kind of my thought. I read that article the other day, and when we were talking about the rivers, it made me think of it, and I was just like...
Humans are a bunch of savages.
Yeah, like, leave no trace.
Yeah.
Take only pictures, leave only footprints. That's like, I mean, even when we go jeeping, stay on the trail. You stay on the trail.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to leave the trail and drive over everything. It drives me nuts. We went jeeping with a group of people one time, and I watched some of these guys in these rigs just driving over stuff because I don't know, like, what is the point? What is the point? Stay on the trail, because if you don't stay on the trail and you don't care for the land that they're allowing us to drive on, they're gonna take it away from us. And then where will you be? You'll have a big rig that all you can do is pavement pound. Like, that's it.
That's what they do in our town. There's so many Rubicons out here, and they're just pavement pounding.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I don't know. It's just the talking about the rivers made me think about that, so I had to ask.
Yeah, I think, because I have beaches to compare it to. We have the Kern River, but I haven't been there in a long time. But our beaches are pretty gross.
Yeah.
Hey, Crystal, what was the grossest thing you found on the beach?
Oh, I remember being like 9 or 10 years old and looking down, and there was a used condom on the beach. And that was the first time I ever saw a condom, and it was used, and it was gross.
Yeah, welcome to California. Everybody makes it look good on Baywatch and on all those other shows, but it's pretty disgusting out here. I do not want to go to our beaches.
No.
Yeah.
No. Do you, Crystal? Do you see yourself ever going into our beach waters again?
Probably not. I feel like I have too much of a germ phobia to want to do that again. And a lot of the beaches have like tar bits.
Yes.
Where like when you're walking, it gets on your shoes and then it's everywhere.
Yes. We have tar at our beach.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's all tar beaches.
That's great. We have in our beach in town here, we have like wood chips.
Wood chips?
Yeah, so and they don't really know exactly why this is. Part of it, I think, is because of the manufacturing plant that's on the water.
Uh-huh.
They're also saying that it has to do a lot with logs and stuff that are still stuck in the river as they decay, like the wood chips come. So like there's actually like this black line at Starlight Beach when you go to get in the water, and it's all wood chips that you have to walk through. And it's weird because like you said, it's like black and it sticks to you, and like when the dogs walk through it, it gets on their feet. It's not, they say it's not harmful, but you know what? They also said that the water in Flint was safe to drink, so.
That's true too.
So
yeah, it's gross. So you'll sit on our beach and you're like, yeah, I'm in California and this is the life. And then you dig your feet into the sand and then you're like, ew, like what's this gross thing on the bottom of my foot? It's just this like nickel-sized thing of just tar.
I don't think we're gonna go to the beach in California. I think we're gonna go to the beach in Washington.
That'll be nice.
I think that's the plan. We were talking about that. We're like, we're not even going to drive up the coast coming back. We might like go out to the coast, maybe, and then come back in just to see it. But I don't know. I think we're just, when we leave LA, I think we're just going to head straight north. We're going to go from LA to Redding.
Okay,
Redding,
yeah,
California?
I know where Reading is. I've been up there before.
Yeah, so we're going to go there, and we're going to stay there one night. And
There's
then from there,
nothing in between. There's nothing in between Los Angeles and Northern California. So just plow straight through the nasty smelling miles of cow manure smell from all the farms that are right there up against it. You'll see millions of cows going up there, and it's pretty smelly.
And that's kind of the plan, is to just drive and get up there, and then we'll spend the night there. And then when we leave there, we're going to go to, I think it's called Jedediah State Park. So it's like part of the Redwoods National Forest, but it's a park where they have actual trails that dogs can go on.
See, that's cool. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, so like when I got online and I was looking, because I'm like, I want to go see the Redwoods. We're going to be in Northern California. I know it's cliche, but I want to go. So I got online, and of course, the Redwoods National Park is a national park, and dogs aren't allowed on the trails, and blah, 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 blah. So I got online, and I just started looking like, pet-friendly places to see the Redwoods. And I found like 3 different parks, and I said, here we go. We're going to go to this one. There's like a 6-mile dirt road. You can drive through the trees. I'm like, yep, we'll do that.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. I'm excited about the vlogs. I'm excited about your adventures, just to see your take on some of the stuff. And I'm excited to see you on Saturday at PetCon, which after you've watched this, thanks for coming to PetCon.
I know, it's like 6 days away.
Yes, I'm super excited.
I have so, like, by the time you guys hear this, I won't feel like this because it'll already have happened, but I have so much to like do and plan, and like I'm packing the dogs their own suitcase so that I make sure I don't forget anything for them. We decided yesterday we're not putting the car top carrier on top of the Jeep because it's kind of just more of a pain than necessary. And since all the hotels we're staying at have laundry room, I'm like, we're just gonna pack enough clothes for 4 days, and every 4 days we'll wash clothes. I mean, it's not that hard,
Right.
So we're gonna like try to compress what we pack, so we're not taking a bunch of junk.
Yes.
I don't want to take a bunch of stuff with me. If we had a travel trailer, it'd be different. But I'm like, I don't want to take a bunch of stuff. I just want to like compress everything and make it easy. And because Kira's so small, there's more than enough room for the 3 of them to sleep comfortably in the back of the Jeep. That was our biggest concern. If she was full size, we would have to have the car top carrier. But because she's not, because she's still so small, I think we're gonna just do it this way. And it's gonna be interesting. I have a lot to do. I have 2 more videos I have to film today because I can't film anything tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. I can't film anything tomorrow because the construction guys will be here installing our air conditioning.
Yes. Luxuries. You're going to love it. I can't wait for you to have air conditioning.
I can't either. Jamie almost put the small AC unit in the window yesterday because it was so humid in here, and I was trying to film, and I was miserable. I'm
just
like,
melting.
I can't film because it gets hot, and the dogs are hot, and you're clearly sweating. It's like, this is so difficult. Apparently, though, the unit that we're buying is like whisper quiet. The guy goes, you won't even hear it. So
that's good.
That'll be nice because the one we had in the window was deafening.
Yeah, that'll definitely help with filming. I hate when I have to turn off the air here in order to make any kind of videos and stuff. We just melt. The timer's just going down. Like, hurry.
So speaking of that, we should probably end this podcast so that I can go film some videos and get ready to see everybody on Saturday.
Woot. All right, so that'll end it for this week's episode of the CC Mouse Podcast. Leave us a message at speakpipe.com/CC Mouse Podcast. Come find us on the Instagrams or Facebook at CC Mouse Podcast, and shop our merch at ccmousepodcast.shop. So until next week, we will see you guys. Same mouse time, same mouse podcast. Bye.
Bye. We did a thing.